Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. You know what, first of all, let me just say this because it's bothering me. I have a pimple. I see the pimple. I know there's a pimple there. No one comment about my pimple and say anything ugly. I don't really get a lot of breakouts, so this is like really bothering me. And I ran out of pimple patches, so I don't know how long this little effer is gonna be here, but I do not have a pimple. But anyway, welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support you've given me, especially on chapter 3. That was the hardest chapter for me to shoot. That was super emotional. I am sorry if I made anybody cry. Thank you for all the people that stuck in there and watched the whole video because it was very long. And I did see some comments about me being like boring and long-winded. Rude. But this video, for those people who said that, is going to be a lot shorter. Like, a lot shorter. So short to the point where I anticipate a comment saying, what is the point of this video? Well, this is just kind of give a more like well-rounded view of my involvement in my life with my paternal family. So this chapter, chapter 4, it's called Family History, and it's just about my paternal family, extended family. So that's why it's so short, because there's not a lot of involvement. There's not a lot of history. There's not a lot to talk about, but I do feel like it's necessary to kind of give you that history so you can kind of understand better just my life with my paternal side. So yeah, here we go. Welcome to chapter 4. Now, when it comes to my paternal family, I've got a lot of family in Alabama. Like, a lot of family, like a lot on my dad's side and a lot on my mom's side. Now, my maternal family in Alabama, I pretty much know all of them. I can talk about them all day. My dad's side, I don't know. I don't know a lot about them. I don't know a lot of them. Actually, I don't know majority of them. So much to the point, there was this one time I went to a bar in Huntsville with my brother's second ex-wife, whom I love to pieces. And I went to a bar with her, her favorite bar. And, you know, drinks are flowing, music. It's like, it's a vibe. We're having a good time. And I noticed this guy looking at me. First of all, I hate getting hit on. I am so awkward. Like cringy awkward. Like, I don't do well when guys hit on me. Like, it's like, I honestly hate it. And he's like giving me the eyes, and I know he's like, you know, gonna come over and try and talk to me. So I'm trying to avoid looking at him, but it's like, you know, when someone's looking at you and you like, you know what I mean? Like, it was so awkward. But anyway, she called this dude over to our table. I was so pissed because I thought she was just like, you know, doing it to like mess with me. But she called this dude over to the table, and he's like, hey, nice to meet you. Put his hand out so I could shake his hand. I'm like, hi. And she goes, so, it's funny you're introducing yourself to your cousin. And I looked at her and he looked at her, and I was like, what? We're cousins? Immediately, I was like, thank God, because I did not want to turn down another guy. Like, it almost makes me feel so bad. But yeah, she was like, yeah, that's your cousin. That's so-and-so's daughter. And he was like, oh, yeah, you're like my third cousin then. And I was like, oh, wow, well, nice to meet you. Like, I have so much family. Huntsville is just not a big place, guys. Like, it's just like, it's just not a big place. So yeah, got a lot of family down there. And my paternal family that lives down there, they actually have a family reunion every year in the summer, around the same time. I've only attended one. I can't tell you any of their names, who they are. I don't remember any of those people. So it kind of sucks, because every time I go to Huntsville, because I still go to Huntsville, my grandmother, my mom's mom, still lives there. I have aunts, I have cousins, I have a lot of family in Huntsville. My mom goes like once a month. So yeah, but every time I go, I'm always like, I wonder if this is my cousin. Because there's so many of us. But the only family, extended family on my dad's side that I've ever had any consistency or involvement with would be my grandmother, her husband, which is my biological father, stepfather, and my dad's sister and one of his brothers, and their families. And that's it. Those are the only people I know. Now, my grandparents, for the longest, lived in Virginia. So when my dad and his family lived in Atlanta, I didn't see them much. I didn't visit them much. There wasn't a lot of involvement. And then when they moved to Alabama, they were still in Virginia until I was like 16 or something. But after they moved to Alabama, I saw them a lot more because when I would come and visit my dad and his family, at the end of the visit, like the last day, like before I'd go home, we would go to my grandmother's house and, we'd visit with them. And then my uncle and aunt and their families would come over, and that's when I would see all of them. I never really spent like I guess time with my grandparents, my uncle, his family, my aunt and her daughter with my without my I never spent time with them without my grandparents. So like my grandmother was like the glue between my dad, his siblings and their family. So I only saw them when I was at my grandmother's house. But they're all lovely. We always had a good time. Um, my grandmother is so funny. Like, she's so funny, and she could drink like an Irishman under the table. But the lady is hilarious. And she's always like, teach me how to twerk. And I'm like, girl, no. She's so funny. And I've always enjoyed spending time with them. I love spending time with them. And I honestly like wish I had a better relationship with my grandmother and grandfather, only because my mom's mother is still alive, but she has Alzheimer's, so she doesn't remember me. Um, and I was the closest to her, so it's really hard for me to be around her. But my dad's mom and her husband, they're pretty much the only grandparents I have left. So it honestly kind of sucks that everything happened and went down with my bio dad and his family because I made the decision to kind of just cut off all the family. And the reason for that is there was a time, or two times actually, so, fool me once, fool me twice, that I tried to just have a relationship with my grandparents, and I tried to keep it separate from my bio dad. And when I graduated college, I invited my grandparents to come. I was on the outs with my bio dad and his family, and I wanted no parts of them. So I invited my grandparents, and I was like, you cannot tell or invite my biological father and his family. I do not want them there. I don't. Do not do that to me. And they were like, no, we won't do it. We won't do it. They did it. They invited him. He drove them to Nashville to come to my college graduation. And I was really upset by that. I'm actually the only child of my biological father that has graduated college. So my half brother, my half sister, the niece, and the step brother, none of them graduated college, just me. And I was really proud and happy to share that moment with my grandparents. My grandmother at the time, I don't think she came. My mom's mom. I don't know if she was diagnosed then or not. I can't remember. But I really wanted to share that with them, and I wanted them to be there. And when they invited him, they kind of like broke that trust, and I was like really upset. And oh my gosh, y'all. At my college graduation, the speaker, I think it was the dean, I can't remember who was speaking. They said something along the lines of, the graduates, required a lot of support. There was a lot of sacrifice, a lot of dedication, and we really appreciate everyone, all the family members who supported them, helped them get to this place, helped them get to this milestone and graduate and la la la. And we just want to take the moment to have you guys stand up so we can applaud you and thank you guys so much for your continued support of our graduates. This man, my biological father, the man who wouldn't loan me money for my books, stood up. I was so pissed. I was so pissed. He stood like proudly stood up, you know, when they said that. And I bet you the man doesn't even know what my degree is in. Like, I was so mad. And that's not the first time or second time or third time where I've had like a milestone and he's like tried to take some credit for what I've done or an accomplishment I was so mad. But they invited him to that. So I disinvited them to my graduation dinner because I did not want my biological father there. And I asked them, begged them damn near to not tell him, invite him. And they did that against my wishes. So there was that. There was also a time when my grandmother wanted to meet my husband. He was my fiance at the time. She wanted to meet him. And I said I would come down. I was again on the out with my biological father and his family. And I was like, okay, I'll come down, but don't tell him that I'm going to be there. Like, I want no parts. And they told him. So it was so bad too, because that was the first time my husband met my dad. And it was an all out fight. Like, he was screaming at me. I was screaming at him. It wasn't like what you saw on the show. Like, he didn't cuss or anything like that. He's always been extremely respectful, especially around his mother. He does not cuss around his mom. So we were just yelling and stuff like that. But I mean, it was horrible. My grandmother was in the kitchen crying hysterically, begging me not to leave because I was just like, you know what, I'm out. I told you guys not to have him come here. Like, I was so mad. So, you know, fool me once, fool me twice. So because I tried to keep the relationship like separate from my bio dad and his family, from other members, and they didn't respect that, didn't respect me enough to kind of do what I wanted and protect me and respect my wishes. Um, I'm just not going to give anybody the opportunity to do that anymore. So cut the entire family off. My uncle, so my bio dad's brother, never reaches out to me, never calls me, none of that. So, I mean, there's no loss there. And his sister, she would periodically text me happy birthday. She actually texted me happy birthday last year. I didn't respond. I don't have anything to say. I didn't have a lot of involvement with any of them. There's never been consistency. I've honestly, from ages like, I want to say like 10 to 17, I probably only spent maybe, I want to say 75, maybe 100. We'll just say 100. We'll just say 100. 100 days with my biological father, his family, and extended family. 100 days between ages 10 and 17. And that kind of shakes out to like what, a week a year. And there were a couple years that I didn't see him, that he didn't come around. So I didn't have a lot of involvement with my paternal family, period. When I was a kid, there was no like bad blood with my mom or anything, but they just never reached out. They kind of left that to my bio dad, and, you know, I've already spoken about him and, you know, his involvement with me and all that kind of stuff. So they left, you know, the relationship, you know, to him to be able to, you know, cultivate the relationships with them and engage with them. And because I left it to him, nothing happened. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, my biological father, his biological dad, funny story. I didn't know that. I didn't know my grandmother's husband was not my biological father's dad until I was like in middle school. And when I was in middle school, my bio dad came to pick me up one time, and he had his dad with him, and he was like, "Oh, this is my dad," you know? And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that my grandpa wasn't your, oh, so you're my grandpa." Like, I didn't know. But that's the only time I've seen him, when I was in middle school. Spoke to him here and there when I was like 16, 17. Spoke to him once when I was 19. He sent me a Bible. I think he was a pastor or is a pastor. I don't remember. But he sent me a Bible, which shout out to him for that because I love that Bible. Still use it. It's one of my favorite Bibles. Um, and that's pretty much the only involvement I have with or had with his dad. He didn't grow up with his dad. He didn't have a lot of involvement from his dad. So obviously I didn't have a lot of involvement from his dad. So I mean that, that sucks. I'm sure that's unfortunate for him and everything, but yeah, that's pretty much, I mean, like I said, a short video. Like there's not a lot, but I wanted to touch on the history or lack thereof with my paternal family, just so you have a more well-rounded idea of the full level of involvement I've had with them and why it is not easy, but why it is not as tough as I guess people may think for me to kind of cut off the full family and move on with my life and not be involved with them in any way, shape, or form. Um, all because of that horrible dinner. But yeah, I mean that's it is what it is. You know what I mean? The door is closed and that's the only history I've had with them. So oh well. But moving on, I do want to pivot and say I don't know who needs to hear this or wants to hear it, but I've seen some comments, so let me tell you something. LexiChanel McCollum will not ever, ever be on that show again. So for the people out there commenting like, oh, she's doing this because they need a storyline and la 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 la. I don't give a damn about that show or storyline. They pretty much, I helped them enough when I did that interview with Giving You the Real Tea, and they took the whole thing where I said, oh, my stepmom was, a side chick essentially, and that was pretty much, I guess, all they talked about that season. So you know, you're welcome. But no, this is not for them. This is not for anyone but me and the tribe that I feel like I have created with this channel, for healing, for understanding, my story and what it's like to come from a blended family and what it's like to be involved with a family that doesn't care for you that much and doesn't really, want to be involved with you. And just the history of all of that. So, yeah, I just want to say that, what I'm doing here has nothing to do with the show. I have never spoken to Mr. King. He's never reached out to me. I want no parts with anybody on that show. Like, you won't ever see me on the show. You can take that information to the bank. You want to see me, you can catch me here on my channel. And this is a limited series. I'm doing my 7 chapters and then closing that door and moving on to other content. I do want to try my hand at being a content creator and, kind of telling people about, me. And I want to do like lifestyle and mom life and cooking and a bunch of other stuff, and talk about my son and his acting and just brag on my kids and talk about all the animals I have. Like, this is a limited series talking about my paternal family. I do want to talk about my maternal family and talk about my siblings and the other side of a blended family where it was a lot better and pleasant and better memories and happiness and just all the things, all the positive things. And if there's anything that anybody wants to hear from me or see from me, put it in a comment below, and like maybe I'll add it to my repertoire. Like I don't know. But yeah, all that to say, this is a limited series. I want nothing to do with that show. I won't be on that show. I'm not doing anything for that show. And I honestly don't feel like, because I've seen so many comments about this, I honestly don't feel like my paternal family is watching this or cares about this, I feel like if you've learned anything from chapters 1, 2, and 3, you know that they don't care. And honestly, my bio dad with the show, and my stepmom, they like didn't really care what they told me, you know, they didn't really care to be on the show or not be on the show. Like they said that the show was chasing them and like begging them to like be on the show and show their family and do all this other kind of stuff. So I mean, like I don't I don't really think they care about what I'm doing, what I'm talking about, the tribe I'm creating over here. I know I've seen comments of people like, I want to hear from the other side. They're not going to respond to me. And even if they did, let me tell you what I'm going to say back. Nothing, because I've got nothing to say. So, if you're, hoping for some type of beef or war between me and that side, you're not gonna get it. I'm gonna do this series, and then I've got nothing else to say about any of them. And if you're hoping for a response, it's not gonna happen. But you know what? I can give you the response, because let me channel them really quick for you guys and give you the response that you won't get. So I'll give it to you. Let me get into the mode. I'm gonna channel my stepmom. I'm not sure why she's doing this series. Everything she said was a lie, and I hope it makes her feel better and she's happy. But I found everything she said to be disrespectful and a lie, and yeah. So that's what she would say. And then let me channel my bio dad. I find it quite sad that she chose to go on YouTube and talk about us and lie on us and our family. It's not okay, but I still have love for my daughter. And, I hope her mental state is well and she's happy. And I hope my grandkids are doing well. But yes, everything she said was not true. And I'm sad that she did that, but we're going to move on. And there you go. That's pretty much, I feel like, what they'd say, because they don't care. So they wouldn't say anything in the first place. And I'm not trying to say that I was like, oh, they don't care about me. No, they just they don't care. They have their own lives. They haven't thought about me, spoken to me, reached out to me since June 2023 at that dinner. Period. None of them. So, if you're hoping or wishing or trying to figure out why I'm doing this beyond the reasons I've stated in every friggin' video and thinking it's connected to them in some way, shape, or form, I'm sorry to tell you it's not. And if that's what you're coming here for, it sucks to suck. You're not going to get what you want. I am just trying to tell my story, help some people along the way if I can, and move on with my life. And I'm just prayerful that by me telling my story and continuing to do so, it helps other people. And that's the only intent. That's all I want to do. I'm not here to help anybody with a storyline. I'm not here to give somebody a storyline. It honestly doesn't make sense for anyone to think that what I'm doing would be used for a storyline, because why would you sit there and talk about somebody on national TV that is not going to be seen there? I'm not going to, I won't be on the show. I will not be on that show. So it just doesn't make any sense to sit there and talk about me. I don't know. I'm sure they have more going on in their life. I mean, I hope they do have more going on in their life to try and use my healing journey for a storyline. So, yeah. Let me get off my soapbox. That's all I have to say. Say bye, Snowball. Look, I groomed him myself. He looks adorable. So yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you guys. Stop. Snowball. Snowball. Okay. So that's all I have to say. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you want to support the channel and send me a Cash App or a Venmo, you can totally do it. I'll shout you out in my next video if that's something you want to do. But if you could just like the video, that's a free way to support the channel. And I appreciate everyone for watching. And I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye, everyone.